Last year, we got the all-new Honda Civic Sedan, and this year we have the all-new Honda Civic Hatchback. And this particular one is with the 6-speed manual. So that means we have to compare it against one of its closest rivals, the Mazda 3 Sport, or Hatchback as it's known in the United States. And that one also has a 6-speed manual. So between these two hatchbacks, which one is better? Let's go for a drive and find out. The Mazda 3 Sport, or Hatchback as it's known in the United States, is available with 3 engine options here in Canada. Only 2 in the United States though. The base model has a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, which is not available in the US. There's also a turbocharged 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine that can produce up to 250 horsepower. That one is available in the US. However, this particular Mazda 3 has the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, which produces 186 horsepower and 186 pound-feet of torque. Now with power figures like that, it's not going to pin you to the back of your seat. But for about, I want to say 90%, 95% of all drivers out there, it's enough power. It gets you off the line in a relatively quick pace, and when you're on a highway, you don't need to strain the engine to overtake someone. But the great thing about having a naturally aspirated engine is that it's very responsive. So as soon as you put your foot down, it reacts immediately. There's none of that turbo lag that's associated with turbocharged engines. Fuel economy is not too bad either. The 2022 Mazda 3 Hatch with this naturally aspirated 2.5-liter engine and the 6-speed manual transmission is rated for 9.6 liters per 100 kilometers in a city and 7.1 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway. During my time with the car, I averaged 8.4 liters per 100 kilometers. The 6-speed manual transmission in the Mazda 3 Hatch is available on all trim levels here in Canada, but it's only available on the premium trim in the United States. As well, it is not available with the turbo engine nor the all-wheel drive system. It's not as mechanical feeling as the transmission in the Mazda MX-5, but this was designed to be more user-friendly in city environments, not canyon carving, for example. My only complaint with it though, although it's not really the transmission's fault, it's more the car's fault, and that is, it's a bit too well insulated in here. Normally when I shift gears, I like to hear the engine. But in this car, it's so well insulated that I have a really tough time hearing the engine until I can only hear it once it reaches 3,000 or 4,000 RPMs. And by then, I'm already wasting a lot of gas. So it would be nice if Mazda's engineers fitted the manual versions of the Mazda 3 with maybe a sportier exhaust, or maybe even on the heads-up display I can get a little tachometer so I don't have to keep looking down and to the left to know when to shift. So unlike the Mazda 3, the Honda Civic Hatchback only has 2 engine options. The base engine is a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder with about 158 horsepower, whereas the optional engine, with what I have here, it is a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. This engine produces 180 horsepower and 177 pound-feet of torque. So not as much as the 2.5 naturally aspirated in the Mazda 3, but because it is turbocharged, you don't really need to rev it all that much to get the most out of it. In fact, when you're just driving around town like how I am right now, the RPMs don't really need to go past 2,000. It has enough torque to get you off the line at a reasonable pace without impeding anybody behind you. As well, this engine has auto start stop, unlike the Mazda 3. It only works though if the transmission is in neutral and your foot is off the clutch pedal. As soon as you put your foot on the clutch pedal, the engine's going to fire right up. Compared to the sedan, the Civic Hatch has slightly worse fuel economy figures. With the CVT automatic, it is rated for 7.7 liters per 100 kilometers in a city and 6.3 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway. But if you opt for the Civic Hatch with the manual transmission, the highway fuel economy remains the same, but city fuel economy takes a bit of a hit as it is rated for 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers. I managed to average 8 liters per 100 kilometers during my time with the car. As for this 6-speed manual transmission, it's actually really good. I'd even go so far as to say that it's as good as the one in the Mazda 3. Every time you shift gears, you get a nice satisfying click as it goes into the gear. As well, the clutch is nice and light for everyday use, but it still has a pretty distinctive bite point right in the middle. Unfortunately, the Honda Civic Sedan does not get the manual transmission, it's only the hatchback. But at least it's nice to see that Honda has stuck with offering a manual transmission. Around corners, both of these cars can hold their own. The new Civic feels a bit more mature in the way that it drives on a twisting road. The steering response is sharp and communicative. It's also nicely weighted so that it doesn't feel too light or overly assisted. It feels more like a smaller version of the Accord. As for the Mazda 3, it is still the best driving compact car on the market right now. Steering feel is precise and provides a tiny bit more feedback to the driver than in the Civic. Steering effort is also a tiny bit firmer than in the Civic, but it feels more rewarding and communicative on a twisting forest road like this one. Of the two, the Mazda is still the driver's car. On city streets, the ride of the Mazda 3 is a tiny bit firmer than the ride of the Honda Civic. However, sound insulation is better in the Mazda 3 than in the Civic. You don't hear as much road noise and, as I said earlier, much less engine noise in the Mazda than in the Civic. The front seats in both cars are plenty comfortable and spacious for both shorter and taller adults like myself at 6'4". On paper, both of these cars have a nearly identical amount of front legroom and headroom. But it's in the back seats that you will notice the biggest difference. The Civic Hatch has slightly more headroom and legroom than in the Mazda 3 Hatch. It's the same story in the trunks. The 2022 Honda Civic Hatchback has 693 liters of space, while the Mazda 3 Sport has just 569 liters of space. However, fold the rear seats down and the Mazda 3 regains the lead with 1,334 liters of cargo space versus 1,308 liters of space for the Civic Hatch. Now we get to the Achilles heel of the new 2022 Civic Hatch, its price. It starts at $28,000 Canadian, and this top spec touring trim with the 6-speed manual transmission will cost you $35,000 Canadian. Meanwhile, the 2022 Mazda 3 Sport starts at $22,200 Canadian, with this GT manual trim costing just $30,600 Canadian. This is the most top spec trim of the Mazda 3 Hatch in which you can get the 6-speed manual transmission. But if you add the turbo engine and all-wheel drive powertrain, the price of the Mazda 3 will then be $36,300 Canadian. Only a $1,300 difference for all-wheel drive and a significantly more powerful engine. But for all that money that you're paying for the new Civic, you're getting a lot of stuff in return. It has leather, heated seats in the front and the back, heated steering wheel, wireless phone charging along with wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, a full digital driver display, a 9-inch touchscreen with a volume knob, adaptive cruise control, blind spot sensors, lane centering system, and automatic emergency braking among many other features. In the Mazda 3, you're getting broadly the same amount of stuff, but there are a few differences. For example, the Mazda 3 gets a head-up display, which the Civic doesn't. And while the infotainment system in the Mazda 3 allows for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, they are not wireless. Also, the Mazda 3 does not have wireless phone charging, but it is available as an accessory. As for interior and exterior looks, the interior of the 2022 Honda Civic Hatch is much more premium feeling than the previous generation. You can almost take the buttons and knobs from the climate controls and put them in a Mercedes and no one would be the wiser. It's the same story with the Mazda 3 Hatch. The fit and finish of the cabin is something that you'd expect to find in a car costing $60,000, not $30,000. The exterior styling though is a bit more polarizing between the two. The Mazda 3 has a more traditional looking hatchback rear end, while the Civic has a more elongated rear hatch. I will say this though about the Civic. I think it looks a little bit better as a hatchback than it does as a sedan. Don't you agree? So between these two hatchbacks, which one is best? Well, it's really hard to beat the Mazda 3 in terms of sheer driving pleasure. But as an overall package, I think that the new Honda Civic Hatch is best. It offers a little bit more interior space than the Mazda 3. The interior itself is much nicer than the previous generation, and it's available with a lot of the latest gadgets and gizmos. Plus, it's maybe 8/10, 9/10 just as fun to drive as the Mazda 3. So, like I said, overall, this is the hatchback to go for. But if you just want the best driving experience from an affordable hatchback, the Mazda 3 is still very, very good. If you want to know more about either of these two hatchbacks, I wrote more detailed reviews of them over on my website. You can find the links in the video description or click on the pop-up banner up here. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck, or most likely, it'll probably be an SUV. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. If I can see anything with the sun in my eyes. Ugh.